So this must be Eidos 7.
Yes. This was the final battlefield of civilization. It was also known as a truly colossal city.
Something is falling from the sky. A strange sensation. This must be Earth's rain.
We can admire the scenery later. We have a job to do here.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 90 of the Video Game Podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, John, over here. John, do you have anything to start the show with?
Dude, you got it. Like, you've done this to me before. I would love to bring things to start the show with.
You can do. Why can't you?
Because you always do, so I'm not going to waste my time. Now, if you tell me this ahead of time, yes, I will absolutely bring stuff to start the show.
Because I know you said you want to talk about news and other items. You can always bring it.
Yeah, but I'm a preparer. I'm not an off-the-cuff kind of guy. Let's see. No.
I got nothing. Brain's empty.
No, Balatro is still cool, and Remnant's really hard, and yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got, man.
All right, I'll throw you a bone here. All right, we got kind of two big things happening with the heads of the first-party companies. Jim Ryan is officially retired, as last Friday was his last day on the job. It's over.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yep.
What do you think, John?
I think he will go down as a good CEO that made a couple bad decisions, but ultimately, continued the success that the PS4 had, which was started under Sean Layden's leadership early in that generational cycle. Continue that going, ship the console through COVID. That's probably going to be his claim to fame.
Yeah, that was big.
And then kind of expanding the Sony studios, right? Getting Housemarque under their belt and Bluepoint, those teams. If there was a ink spot or black stain, and I don't think this is nothing we know right now, but could be in the future we'll know is the live service / Bungie push, was that a good decision? Right now it's not really looking like it, and there's some people speculating that could even have something to do with him leaving / Connie Booth leaving. We don't know, but overall I think he was boring and an old man who didn't really play video games. He's a money man, but he did a good job for what he needed to do.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And yeah, it's going to be hard to say what his legacy is because we don't know what happens with this live service initiative and kind of a year of no Sony first-party games. And I don't think that's always entirely his fault.
No.
I'm sure they would want a Last of Us 2 factions out right now and other projects, but it just you can't have bangers every year.
No.
They've kind of been on fire the last 5, 6, 7 years. With a
really
big release.
PlayStation 4, really. I mean, the start, like the second or third year of that console. But, yeah, I mean, I do think he might have maybe didn't pay as much attention to money as he should have. It does seem like Hiroki Totoki's coming in and being like, well, why is all this costing so much? And so maybe he'll course correct a little bit. But, we'll miss you, Jim. And I'm very curious to see who will take over. We know Totoki is an interim CEO, but will he, do that forever? He's coming from, I believe, the CFO of Sony Corp entirely. So, you could look at this as, he got promoted to CEO, but at the same time, going from Sony to PlayStation is a weird little step down. So, yeah, curious to see, do they just promote Herman Holst? Do they, find somebody outside or maybe not who you think, but...
Yeah, I mean, whoever they get will kind of give you at least a little bit of a window in what kind of direction they want to head in, whatever the person they hire's background is. Yeah. But we'll see.
I would bet it's, not a creative, probably some more business-minded person, but...
Okay.
That's what, I mean...
That's what it's been, so
it makes the most sense.
But, and then on the other side of the aisle, on Xbox, Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, is celebrating his 10th anniversary as head of Xbox, which he inherited from Don Matrick. So that's another interesting statistic. Also very hard to judge. his tenure. I kind of think of this as like college sports coaches. They were, you take over or professional sports. You take over a sinking program, and you're supposed to, because he took over Xbox One, the always online, had to come with Kinect, shit of a console that really sunk Xbox, and has had 10 years, plenty of time to turn it around. And I would say his results are quite mixed. Yeah, but very similar to Jim Ryan. Just his acquisitions is his resume right now. And not that the Xbox Series X is a bad console by any means, but definitely still not where I'm sure he would like it, and Sarah Bond would like it. But I think everything he's done is kind of, I think, put Xbox in a better position.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's easy ways to poke at him, and we've done that on this show many times, talking out of both sides of his mouth and, not really pushing a lot of Xbox games out the door. But, he also does have shareholders he has to adhere to. He's goes into those rooms saying what other people tell him to say and things like that. So I'm not going to fault the man for some of his things, but I do think they need to, at some point, figure out how to get games out. I mean, we'll say that till the cows come home, but this is the same guy who said that it's not as simple as just putting a good game on your console, and that's a good place to start, though, right? Like, we can agree that's a good place to start. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have thought Phil would still be here, based on how flippant it does seem like these large corporations will change leadership around if the results aren't where you want them to be. But, they believe in the guy, and fans like him, so.
Yeah, I think he's driven growth for Xbox. It's just not enough, especially, in the lens of the Nintendo and Sony. It's just nowhere near close right now. So yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right, and then the final thing is it's Troy Baker's birthday.
April Fool's.
It really is. Nice. He is 48 years old. Troy Baker. He's the, we talked about him last week as he is the voice of Tom. It was Tom and Judas. The third, I think it was Tom.
I don't
It's
remember.
amazing how these things just exit your brain, and you're just like, oh yeah.
Does sound right?
Yeah, it's Tom.
Okay.
All right. And of course Joel from The Last of Us, and I played the Avengers game, and he was Bruce Banner. Just a prolific voice actor that continues.
The villain from Far Cry 4, the villain from Miles Morales. Yeah, you look at his IMDb page, and it's just, you won't believe how many games that guy's been in.
Yeah, Nathan Drake's brother in Uncharted 4.
Probably the guy in GTA 6.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We don't know that,
but everyone has an inkling that yes, he is the voice in Grand Theft Auto 6. I can't wait to find that out. If that is true, that will be amazing. But yeah, just the and star of Last of Us HBO series. He got the pretty significant role in that as well, and did an excellent, as one should, and just great. Yeah. Seems like a great guy all around.
Yeah, I get a little, like, he does seem great. I could see him be having a little bit of an ego, but probably a deserved ego. Like there's certain people in life that kind of like, yeah, I'm the man.
Yeah.
I'm the man. Like,
and upcoming Death Stranding too. How could we forget his his sword, his
electric guitar wielding Joker face.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Troy. We look forward to all your roles.
Happy birthday.
Coming. All right. Well, that's all I got, John. Unless you came up with something in the meantime.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
My mind is an empty vessel.
Let's move on to how the show works. John and I both can bring up to 3 things to talk about for a total of 6 things. That can be a video game we're playing. We're both going to bring the Stellar Blade demo. We both spent some time with that, and we'll give our impressions. It can be a news item. Marvel Rivals was announced. We're going to talk about that. It can be a topic. We're going to talk about labeling video games because bullshit is not a good enough label for.
You seemed to like it last week.
It was very funny out of nowhere, but we're gonna just dive a little deep and maybe come up with a little show term for what a video game that just sucks the oxygen out of the room and takes all your time up should be called. And we talked about our Judas being one of our top anticipated games. I wanted to go over that list again since we last did it, more games have come out or been announced, and have a more current updated list for that. So but it can also be an email from you. You can email us at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com, a Twitter DM. You can follow us or message us at JoysticksPod on Twitter, or you can comment on one of our YouTube videos at Between the Joysticks.
Old habits die hard.
You can comment on any of our videos there, and we will read them on the show. Any of those things we feel like bringing it. And today we have a total of 5 things to bring. So let's kick things off with the hot item. Stellar Blade, one of the most anticipated games of April. We decreed it to be the highest.
Yeah, absolutely the most. If it wasn't, it definitely is now.
The game that everyone's looking forward to the most in this month, PlayStation 5 console exclusive. John,
Yeah.
do you want to set up this game?
Sure. So, coming April 26th from Shift Up Games. The only thing they've made in the past is kind of a gotcha game called Goddess Nike or whatever. If you look up pictures of it,
you'll know ads of it.
You'll know what they're going for. But it's a very popular game, I guess, and so kind of making their first console, foray into the console space here. And when this game was announced originally, it was originally announced as Project Eve. We didn't know what it was eventually going to be called, but it definitely has Bayonetta vibes, Devil May Cry vibes, that fast, high-octane action slasher game. And so to finally get our hands on it was really nice because this is one of those up in the airs. We'll see how it does games. It could be amazing. It could be bad. But I'm happy to report, at least from my end, the time I spent with this did at least assuage many of the fears I had. To start off, absolutely gorgeous. I think that's one of the biggest things that people kind of take away from this game is the Shift Up really did the work when it comes to making this game look next gen, taking advantage of the graphics that the PS5 has, excellent character models, fast fluid combat. Yeah, I know Nick's smiling because
That's a good way to put it.
We'll get into that angle of it, but besides the perviness of it all, it just the characters look great. And I think it's got a lot going for it. So, demo consists of probably about an hour. If you kind of get through the whole thing, you're looking at an hour. You get kind of a little bit of exploring. Ido 7, I believe, was the name of the planet that you're on. It's like a derelict downtown setting where monsters are inhabiting the world. What are they called, Nick?
Naitiba,
right? These gross looking teeth all over the place type monsters, but so you go through, you fight big monsters, little small monsters, mob monsters, but one of the takeaways that I kind of got I want to start with, Nick, is the combat of this game. Obviously the combat was going to carry a lot of what this game does, a lot of the heavy lifting. They designed most of it around that, but I think on the surface level most people think Devil May Cry Bayonetta, and you're not wrong entirely, but probably to your chagrin it's less of that and probably more Souls-like, right? Where you're facing off kind of in a more one-on-one fashion with a larger enemy that you're going to have to block, you're going to have to parry, you're going to have to read their movements, and you're going to have to counter effectively to succeed in combat. And I love that kind of stuff, but I want to kind of get your thoughts on that, Nick, being that that's not typically your jam when it comes to action.
So what that means is the combat is much more slower, much more deliberate. It's not heavy reliant on combos as Bayonetta and Devil May Cry, which in fact just like Hi-Fi Rush kind of rate you after every encounter. But you find yourself looking to parry, find openings. If you parry an enemy enough times, you can basically do a finisher move on them or inflict heavy damage.
That's another kind of FromSoft thing too. It's I believe they call it the balance meter in this one, but it functions almost just like Sekiro's poise meter, where it has a separate thing that if you can whittle it down, you get your ultimate move or whatever, and so
and then you have a dodge as well for the the unblockable attacks as well, and it's all very flashy. The animation is great, and when you do perform those finisher moves, when you stagger them, it looks great and all, but it is not what I would have wanted. I would have wanted the more fast-paced combat, but the demo kind of is the opening minutes of the game, so you're kind of limited in moveset.
Yeah.
And then after you beat that part of the demo, you unlock this like boss rush mode where you get a character that's a little further along, you get access to guns and a little bit higher move set, and it is a lot better.
Yeah.
But I think the demo was a little weak in that it just kind of didn't get you like really into it. It kind of like got you to a big boss fight, but your moveset was so limited, and and it's great that that'll lead you to that. This will be your progress is carrying over to the new game, but I kind of wish that they kind of placed you a little further into the game with more moves, and then just had it be a proper demo, and then just play the game normally. Because I just think the combat, it was just too basic at that point in the game.
Yeah, and that is kind of a weird takeaway I think I had of the demo. Is the combat was very good for me, but at the same time, I do kind of agree with you a little bit. There was something not quite entirely there that might get fixed with later games. There might be different weapons you can unlock. There might be different moves, characters, who knows, that allow you to play around with a little bit more. But it did seem a little simplistic at times. But I was probably a little more okay with it than you, just because like that. I am very much a block slash.
Right.
Block, I'm good with that kind of stuff every once in a while. But it did have this weird juxtaposition of like, I feel like I should be moving faster than I am right now, just based on how the game looks. And that'll, if the game is good, that'll weed itself off when you spend some more time with it. Yeah. But a couple other things about it. I think the demo ran very smoothly, which is an encouraging sign. Anytime you have a fast-paced game, it's got to be smooth. So I think we're going to be safe when it comes to that. And then the music, man. I got to say the music again. I mentioned on the show, God, I should know his name. Keiichi Ikabe, I think, is the name of the guy who did the Nier Automata soundtrack. He's worked on approximately 40% of the music in this game, and right from the get-go, I could kind of tell.
Right.
And I'm about it's a hard kind of music to describe. It's almost like ethereal and kind of like a really, high-pitched female operatic singer, but like that sounds lame when I say it out loud, but it's not lame, I promise. It's great. But it just really something about the vibe of it really sat with me well. So
I was going to ask you, because it's they've said as much. Nier Automata is a huge inspiration, and that music alone puts the vibe, kind of the loneliness of the world with a kind of what I forget the character's name in Nier Automata, the boy character that's talking to you. Yeah, you kind of have that with Adam in this game, and he's kind of like this, fulfilling the same role, kind of just explaining the world to you as it is now. And yeah, you're the opening of the game is you coming down from space, and coming down to Earth, which is very much like Nier Automata. I mean, is this a them trying to do their best clone of this?
It seems a little blatant.
Yeah,
like it seems a little blatant, and like if you're going to rip the Nier Automata blueprint for narrative, good luck. Like, I mean, and that might not be what they're trying to do, right? They're not trying to hit the narrative beats, but just maybe more of the bones of the world or whatever they're trying to do. But yeah, man, the Yorha units are up in space, come down to Earth. The robots, they're all female. They have one guy, you said 9S. it is, the music is similar. It all matches up a lot with that, but I would just say the main difference, the speed of combat is much, much slower, and I can't imagine the story's going to land as well, but they're definitely doing their best to be Korean Nier Automata, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I liked a couple other little things about it, I have a feeling this game is going to become more open world, which is kind of again like Nier. Like when you start Nier, you're kind of in this more level structure, and then it opens up a bit. I think the same thing's going to happen. But so when it comes to that exploration, right? Exploration is going to be a key thing here. And one thing I like that they do, and I like this in most games, is like a scanning pinging system, right? Where it's like you can kind of hit a button and it just like sends out like a pulse. Sorry. My phone. It sends out a pulse and it highlights all enemies, items, things like that. So that was nice. I don't like having to follow a guide every second of the way to make sure I'm getting the things I want, especially if the loot is good. I don't know if this is going to be 100 different kinds of weapons, or if you stick with the same one and you just kind of modify the moves you have. But suffice to say, I think the demo did a good job showing what this game is. It wasn't strong enough to get me to pre-order it. It's not strong enough to probably even get me to commit to day one at this point. But it is strong enough to know that it's absolutely a wait for sale. If not, it comes out strong enough off the gate.
We'll see how it reviews.
If it reviews, yeah, I mean, above 85 and above, I'm probably going to get it. But I don't know. Because, yeah, 25 hours, that's awesome. It doesn't seem like a 25-hour game. So I think there's more in there than...
Yeah, and why I go back to why I think the demo could have been a better demo.
Yeah.
You know, and there are teases of a lot of things. You mentioned the detective vision, which is a nice feature to kind of get your bearing in the environment, and even like highlights enemies behind walls and stuff like that, which is, they had one enemy conveniently right inside the door that was going to hit you. But with that system, I knew he was there. But did you check out the skill trees or...
Yeah, like a little bit.
There's like 5 of them, but you can only see 3 of them at the time. So there must be other things, like other abilities you get to enable those other skill trees.
Yeah, and it's kind of worked in like a circular fashion, right? Where it's like you kind of start in the middle, and you kind of can pick like probably between 3 or 4 different things, and then those lead to different branching and kind of modify that. So I didn't really play around with it too much.
No, I don't think you really can.
No.
You just don't get enough skills at that point to really like, well, what kind of build am I going for here? But
there is probably a good, of each of those 5 things, what, a good 30, 40 maybe in there. So there's a lot of, if it's done well, if the game's balanced and the combat, director does a good job, hopefully that allows a good amount of agency for the player. But it does seem a little, not basic's not the right word, but like here's your attack skill tree, here's probably your range skill tree or your magic skill tree or whatever it is. But
yeah, and you were getting a lot of random loot in the game too, so there's definitely going to be, I know the outfits are craftable, there's different like basically things that go on your spine, like kind of like out of Cyberpunk that you can build, and then also something that goes in your hair that is another equipable item that changes your stats or the way you play.
Have you been reading like the little comments about the hair from the developers? So just like, if we didn't do this fucking hair, like we're gonna get, like, it seems like they really, really went all out with it, which is silly for such a minor thing, but it is kind of impressive if you watch it. Like, it'll go over here and like pools this way, and like strands are just flying all over the place.
Hair in video games is very difficult.
It's like the hardest thing in graphics, right?
So I don't blame them for saying as much. And when you do the boss rush mode, you do get access to more of those things. So you kind of get a preview of other outfits, other late game abilities. So like I like, there's like a blink ability that if they do a certain attack and you hit O towards them, you blink behind them and backstab them.
See, that's sick. Like,
It
if you can
very
start
satisfying.
incorporating that kind of stuff and find the moveset that works for you, like I'm all about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Now I didn't get through the whole thing because I used demos as kind of a way to just make sure that it's something I vibe with. But I know, Nick, you did beat it. How was the boss fight? Because you kind of face I'll just say a very large enemy early on in that demo that I fought with the 2 big balls. And that was fine. But did this one? I know you mentioned that the moveset seemed limited, but cool.
Again,
enemy design, things like that.
Yeah, the enemy design, they're all really freaky. They're kind of like necromorph looking almost.
Yeah,
like
teeth
just
everywhere.
Like, yeah, very bizarre. But no, it's fine. It's just, again, we'll go back to the combat. It's not my style of combat. So like it turns into this protracted arena battle where you're trying to just make sure you're timing perfect parries and dodges, and that can get a little frustrating for me at times when, because you get punished when you mistime those things, and in a lot of these games is about learning the moves, learning the combos, and it's like it's not something I typically vibe with, but no, it was fine. It felt good.
So if this game reviews above an 85, I buy it, and you have nothing else to play, would you borrow it for me to play through?
Probably would check it out.
Okay,
cool. I'd at least give it a check out. We'll see.
Okay, but that's kind of all I got with the demo. It's available. If you're out there, I don't think it's one of those timed demo things. So pick it up, check it out. Saves transfer into the full version. But yeah, compared to when this game was first shown off, I kind of thought that this was going to be one of those games that just like everybody forgets about, and it kind of just comes out and it's whatever. But PlayStation I think they found a good one. with this, and it's going to be yet another game that I think people are going to kind of look at both sides of the aisle and be like, well, PlayStation, they have games.
Right.
they have
this game.
They have different stuff. So
Yeah.
and then the pervy side of it all. It's
Yeah, so you do get, like I said, you get access to the additional costumes in the boss rush mode, which you didn't see, and they're absurd.
Yeah.
They're
Well, dude, you can even take off her like outfit in the one of the two you have. It's just like a skin suit. Like
right.
so, like they know what they're doing,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, I'm fine with it. I try not to be not a prude or anything. It's like, it's how I feel about most things in life. It's like I'm a grown adult. I can do what I want to do, and it's fine,
Right, and it's not like they're hiding this at all.
They're not hiding it. If you have a problem with your kids seeing it or whatever, be a parent.
Right.
And go from there. But yeah, there'll be lots of stellar butts, stellar boobs, stellar
Yeah.
whatevers.
Yeah,
So.
for sure, that'll be a lot of the talk. But it like we were saying, if it reviews well and stands on its own 2 feet, it's just it's there for you. If you want to dress up the character,
And I'll get a 2B statue and then an Eve statue, and I'll put them on my desk.
and they'll kiss.
No kids. But yeah, that's all I got, Nick.
So I mean, for predictions, you think this is a strong 85 and above candidate?
I think this is I'm feeling an 86.
Yeah.
An 84 to an 86. That's where I'm thinking. I think there's going to be a good amount of people that get their hands on it, give it that strong 9.
Yeah.
But then some people that kind of find like maybe flaws with the movement or flaws with
story
and give it more that 7.5, 8.
Yeah.
And balance it all out. I think it'll be kind of in the middle.
Yeah, there's still a lot of unknowns, again, the further sections of the game, and the towns and all the stuff we saw at that state of play when we saw 5 minutes of gameplay, but not so much here. So
Yeah,
it's hard to say, but initial impressions are positive.
Yeah. I mean, I did draft the game, so I think it's gonna be at least pretty, good enough to draft.
Sure. All right. So let's move on. I wanted to continue a conversation we had last week about a new Marvel game coming from NetEase. It was officially announced last Wednesday, the day after the podcast was published, and that is Marvel Rivals. And just as the rumors had said, it is a 6v6 Overwatch shooter. Like there is no doubt about it. If you follow us on Twitter, I retweeted the announcement trailer. It has every Marvel superhero you can imagine: Doctor Strange, Iron Man.
I'm gonna push back on
Hulk,
that one a little bit.
Magneto,
Captain America, Thor.
Oh, okay. Black Panther. I mean, there's I think at least 18 characters announced. I think.
Yeah.
So, and again, it looks like to be a hero shooter. Destructible environments. You fly around as Iron Man. Yuri Lowenthal's returning as Spider-Man. It's an interesting game, and I don't know. I like the art style. Again, John and I, this is typically not our type of game at all.
Important to note.
A PvP shooter, but I think initial reaction is it has something there. Aside from all their signature moves that you would expect from all these characters, there's a lot of team up abilities. The obvious one is Rocket getting on top of Groot and teaming up together. But, there were some cool moments where, them using a Doctor Strange portal to get to a strategic spot on the map, Spider-Man swinging around and webbing all the characters on screen. As we've said with free-to-play anything is like, good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know how long this will be around, but Marvel is a name. Granted, Marvel is kind of on the downturn as a property right now.
That was going to be one of my big questions. It's like, who are they hoping for to populate this game? I don't think the kiddos are really into this kind of stuff right now. And I think the people who are into Overwatch are probably not going to want to play something that looks like this. I don't know. I am personally confused by this. Personally.
Confused how?
I think it's way too late. I think that, the Overwatch hero shooter genre has been declining since 2018, 2019. I think the Marvel IP itself has been declining for a while now. And I think with a developer like NetEase, it's just it might not be bad, but it's not going to be to the level of, when you have Fortnite out there with every one of these characters already existing, it's like, what is the reason to go into this? And then when you show off gameplay, and this is, again, going back to what Nick said, we don't like these games, but like, one of the very first things they show is like, okay, I'm Hulk, and like I just have this big arrow that shows where I'm going to jump, and I just go smash, 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 and they die. Or, Iron Man does his big beam, and you just kind of hopefully track somebody around until you're on him enough to die. And it's just, I don't know. It just seems like the corners are not very polished to me.
Okay.
And I don't think that I don't think this is it.
No, probably not. Again, for all the reasons we just mentioned. But I mean, the trailer does look like a finished game, and it is going into beta this May, or an alpha test in May. So I mean, people will get their hands on it. It's just, it'll be very hard. This game has to play like immaculately. It like can't be buggy.
Right.
All the characters have to feel good and unique. And you just gotta hope you can get, I don't know, 5% of the live service pie, but
yeah, it's a very, very lucrative pie.
Yeah,
like it's stupid not to try. I don't know, man. I think of demographics, right? That's kind of when I'm trying to analyze these things. Okay, so you got your my son level, right? Who they're into like Roblox and Fortnite and maybe a Neon White.
A lot of these Fortnite, where a lot of these characters exist already.
Right, and so they're gonna look at this and they're gonna go, okay, probably not gonna play that because I am not coordinated enough for a competitive shooter that's gonna be populated by grown-ups too. So they're kind of out. You got the teenage group, maybe, right? But they're probably in Fortnite, and I don't think the MCU to them is anywhere near what it was for us growing up. So you kind of got them that I don't think are really going to vibe with it. And then you got like the older crowd, the 20s. That's probably your best bet, right? You're probably like 18 to 28-year-olds. And then outside of that, then you got I don't know. I think there's another conversation to be had about the whole, the time concept with live service games.
Yeah,
it's just we're reaching a point, man.
It's DOA. Like, we'll just say it right now. Like,
that's kind of
everything you
thoughts.
said is like, how are you going to steal anything from Fortnite? And the answer is you can't, unless you have some amazing product that is doing something different than Fortnite and Overwatch. And when you're just trying to be a imitation of those games, but with a Marvel skin, and one of those properties, Fortnite, has tons of Marvel skins in it already. I just don't think it's going to work out for you very well. So
and looking at NetEase's games, like Naraka Blade Point's probably their biggest.
Yeah.
They have like Lord of the Rings Rise to War. I don't know what that. Oh, it's a mobile game. A lot of mobile stuff, which many of those that make billions of dollars that I've never heard of. So that is a thing, but I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. I do like the art style. I agree with you there. Good look for the graphics, but this game's gonna have to do something special to really, I think, stick.
Yeah. And it doesn't have it.
And you're like one of the biggest Marvel guys I know, and even dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, you are the guy.
Yeah, but it's not a game. I'm like, my Overwatch days are 10 years ago. When that game, or 2016 when that game came out, and I was barely. I was playing a lot in the first month or so, but eventually I fall off of it. So I know games are made. This game was probably put in production like 4 or 5 years ago, if not more, because game development times are fucked. That they thought, oh yeah, if we can get this out in time, and then
I don't know, man.
Fortnite
I disagree. I think this game looks like it was made in a year. Like,
no.
I don't think it looks that good at all. Like, you look at the animations of like Hulk jumping, or even the very beginning when Doctor Strange just floats. He doesn't move it. He just literally just moves straight forward.
Flying characters are always weird in
but that's
multiplayer games.
But I don't. It looks low effort to me for like what you're making. Like, what
I don't know. I disagree with you on that.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think I am. Like most people, talking about this are like, oh, please be good. This looks cool. So like something about it just looks, and I'm sure my Marvel bias is seeping in, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I just think it doesn't stand a chance because of the market it has to compete in and the time it has to pull away from people from established games that are doing so much more and have of the investment of all those the players, the hours and the Fortnite bucks and the characters they've already unlocked, and that to just steal them away to play something comparable, it's just very hard.
You gonna sign up for the alpha?
No.
No?
Not a chance.
Come on.
Again, it's just not for me. It's
Was
not
it
a world
you
where I
that
play.
snapped your Overwatch disc in half?
Yes.
That was
I
you?
did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
That's how he had to break that. So.
That was a bad night of Overwatch where team-based games are very hard, and especially when I typically do not play with anybody I know.
Right.
So that's what happened there. So
it's fair.
Bye.
We've all had that. We've all had those moments. I once was playing NHL 09 with my best friend in the world, and he scored a goal in overtime. But to tell a quick story here. So him and I, college roommates, we played NHL 09. We played an 82-game season, ended the season 41-41, very even matched. Wow. Did it again, ended that season 41-41. So it was just the perfect couch co-op game. Like it was just always competitive. Sure. And he scored an overtime goal on me one night, and I threw my controller across the room just instinctively. I didn't even think about it. He's like, "Dude," and I was like, I'm sorry. So we've all been there. But I just yeeted it immediately. But
you're gonna throw your controller, throw it into a couch.
Yeah, not that one.
It survives.
That one went to a wall. There's also it would have been a 6-axis controller, so probably can't throw those things very fast.
Yeah, those stupid light controllers.
Yeah, but
all right. So yeah, we probably won't discuss this game any further until its eventual.
Until Levi's playing it.
It closes and they cancel the game. But and again, I don't want to keep rehashing it, but just live service is fucked. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good fucking luck. All right. Moving on to our next topic. Last week I was talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and how it was kind of just sucking all the oxygen out of the room, on top of being, just an amazing game. It is a very long game on top of that. And, I was throwing out there that we need a name for these type of video games. And I came up with Omega. John came up with bullshit off the top of his head. And I figure we just spend a little bit of time to maybe have some show terminology for games of this caliber. Shadow of the Erdtree's coming up. I would figure that would be, quote unquote, an Omega level event for the video game space. And just, again, you can't release a game around that or it's not even going to be talked about. Grand Theft Auto 6 will scorch the earth. The entire planet will be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out, and no game can launch the same day as Grand Theft Auto 6. No. It's just not possible. So I don't have anything. We can have tiers of these because some games can be an Omega level, but maybe not have the time commitment that comes with a 70, 80, 90 hour JRPG. Or we can just come up with a term for them a la carte. But
okay.
Did you have any fun names?
So I was thinking, when when you brought this up, I'm like, okay, I was trying to think of keywords that define these games. And my brain first went into the bullshit land, right? Whereas I was thinking these games are usually overcomplicated and just stuffed and bloated. And so, I went to the source and I was like, okay, what are some things? And excessively intricate, right? Okay, that's fine. Laden with excess content. You're no, that's not good. Infinite content, which I kind of like because, there's it's kind of a term. But I kind of like stuffed crust, where I think of a pizza and, I can have a pizza and a pizza's great, but you put that little stuffed crust in there and it just kind of just levels it up. This is a stuffed crust pizza game.
That's a good point.
This is a stuffed crust.
Gourmet,
Yeah.
It takes a normal pizza and it's like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, now we're stuffed. We're stuffed, man.
and then you feel bad after you've consumed it really fastly.
Yeah.
And
I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done.
Like you would.
Shouldn't have ordered the stuffed crust. You like it in the moment, but
right when you're hungry. That's pretty good. I like that because that implies like the burnout that can come, like I said, from consuming games so fast. Like, and I know that's more of a me problem. You know, I beat Jedi Survivor, I think, within a week. Spider-Man 2 within a week. You know, like just
you get to that stuff crossing, you're just like, oh.
I'm like, I was anticipating this pizza so much that I ate it all, and now I'm just and
stuffed.
And also, you know, we bring up Kyle Bosman. He brought up that term about like how good you're eating right now, and that you know, oh God, Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm still so full after Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I can't eat this game too.
I gotta say though, I kind of do like Gourmet. Like this is a gourmet. This is a gourmet game. I kind of like that. You know, yeah. So like, Omega's good too, but yeah, Gourmet. It's like you can't get better than Gourmet, can you? Like, if you go to a restaurant and you sit down like this shit's gourmet, you're like, right. Oh, okay. I think I would put my foot in that camp.
Yeah, I think it fits perfectly. I think the food comparison is almost perfect. I think it just applies the games and just the feelings they can give you. Like, I know John's kind of in a lull as far as video games. He's like he's trying these games, nothing's really getting him there, and it's because he had Gourmet. Yeah, you know, he's been eating so good for so long that he just, you know, he beat Tears of the Kingdom. He's looking for that next, you know, gourmet game, and he just can't. I think can't find it.
That's why you're pushing me to play a 6 out of 10 so badly, so you can like palate cleanser, right? That's the palate cleanser. Gets out all the taste of your mouth, and then you can, you know, go back in.
Yeah. So
I like Gourmet.
I think we stick with Gourmet.
So
for now.
so gourmet games of the last 5 years. I mean, we're talking Elden Ring's Gourmet, Zelda's Gourmet.
Hades
is Gourmet. Ragnarok's Gourmet.
Yeah, there's a lot of Cyberpunk.
Plus, it's kind of fun to say Gourmet. Cyberpunk's not Gourmet.
Okay. Well, Gourmet for one side of the aisle here. Yeah. Returnal.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. You know, yeah.
All right. Well, we will champion the Gourmet. So if you guys listening, you better know what we're talking about.
Is Gourmet like, so Gourmet is a 9 and a 10 game, right? On your little scale?
I mean, I would almost even say Gourmet is a 10. Like, okay. You know, like Gourmet can't be flippantly giving out gourmets, right? No. You know, we have to protect the sanctity of the gourmet. So, yeah, I'd say it's like you might get 1, maybe 2 a year, you know? Sure. Like Persona 5 is probably gourmet.
Yeah.
Right?
I would call it gourmet, yeah.
You know, but can't think of it. Jedi Survivor. That's probably not gourmet. That's probably like, you know.
It's close.
It's close. Right.
It's close. So. But it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
We did it.
Yeah, we did that really quick. All right. Moving on to our next topic. You know, last week while talking about Judas, John and I both agreed it is one of our most anticipated games after we heard Jeff Keighley talk about his impressions of the game and as we learned more about the game. So it's a topic that I just wanted to revisit. You know, I like looking to the future. I like thinking about like what games I will be playing, even while I am playing a gourmet game right now in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. But what are the upcoming gourmet games that we're looking forward to? You know, so I brought 5. I'm assuming you brought 5?
6.
Of course, 6.
No, I brought 5 with one that's kind of, I don't know if it really counts, so it's an asterisk.
And pal of the show, Nick, also wrote in with his 5, and I'm sure it'll overlap with some of our picks. So we'll just go one by one, and John, kick it off. You don't have to say too much if it's a game we've talked about.
Did you order yours?
Oh, no.
Okay, I didn't either. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna I'll get the asterisk out of the way. So Shadow of the Erd Tree, it's DLC. It's one of the 5 most anticipated things I want to play, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Also, I have nothing further to say about it. So I'm gonna start off with
that's a boondoggle with Nick, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to start off with a game that recently got delayed out of this year, but still is released. And that is Earthblade from Extremely OK Games, makers of Celeste.
That was your most anticipated for this year, too, wasn't it?
It was one of. I mean, if we didn't count Hades, too, yeah, I think so. It was definitely in my top 3, but no, I mean, it basically, if you like the movement of Celeste, which I how can you not if you played that game? It's just so tight, and you're adding combat into it with Metroidvania aspects. Like that's my shit, man.
Sure.
Like that's what I love. And I think one of the biggest surprises of Celeste was somehow including a heartfelt, deep story with little beep, 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 like characters. And if they can somehow replicate that again, that would be amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to Earthplay. Was bummed that it got pushed out of the year, especially because I did have it in my fantasy league, but definitely one of the games I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah. Again, we've brought that game up multiple times. It's I'm sure if you're listening, you know John. John's got probably quite a few indie games in his list. I'll just kick things off with Judas. Judas is, of course, on my list.
That's a boondoggle.
That was an easy one. Okay, that was a boondoggle for you, so maybe I'll go to the next one then too. But Ghost Story Games, we talked about it all last week. Ken Levine and just everything they say about this game, from its roguelike nature to the nemesis system of the characters you have to deal with.
Give me a VR mode. All right, BioShock, right? You got your VR. BioShock would be perfect. Give me a VR mode. That'd be super cool.
They are weirdly tied to Sony. I wonder if maybe that's something that could happen.
Maybe that would be the killer app that VR2 needs.
Huh, that's good. That's
it's atmospheric.
I'm gonna think about that.
Sure.
Of course, again, if it does really happen, we said it first. So
I said it first.
John said it first. I'll give it to John. Good point. All right, so I can just go on to my next game.
Sure.
It is Grand Theft Auto 6.
I didn't even put that. Whoops.
Would it have been on your list?
Probably.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. It would be one of those things that I'd feel.
Do you feel it? Do you feel it here, or do you feel the pressure?
I feel it here, not here. So that should tell me that it shouldn't be on my list. But I probably would have thrown it on there because I'm.
Yeah, I mean the outside pressure of just like, not just the internet itself, people we know. It's like, it's just one of those things that's
going to be the most gourmet of games that will suck all the oxygen out in every which way.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I can't wait to see, just like you said, just the people in your lives consumed by it. Obviously, the news will be consumed by it because it'll reach that level of hype. But
it's probably gonna cause a dip in the stock market because people are just gonna be off work that day. They'll be like, nobody's working today.
Yeah,
the economy's shut down.
There will be so many narratives about this game that it'll be wild. But again,
good pick.
The trailer. What else do you need to say?
Good pick. All right. Well, I'm gonna throw out my other obvious one, Hades 2.
It's a boondoggle with Nick.
And not you.
No, I don't have Hades 2.
It's our fourth best game of all time, Nick. Fine, whatever.
If we did it like a top 10, I would probably. And now I will say one of my games is more out of a curiosity than Hades 2 is definitely a day one buy. Yeah. It is gourmet. It looks exciting. I love the one trailer we've seen of it so far, and it'll be cool when it comes out eventually. I hope Nintendo Switch doesn't lock some kind of console exclusivity again, but they probably will.
I feel like they got away with that because Supergiant was not yet a Game of the Year nominated team.
True.
Now that they're a Game of the Year nominated team, I think
and a lot of people
everywhere.
Consider it their most anticipated.
Right.
That it's going to sell hard on every platform. So.
Yeah. But love Hades 1. I think Supergiant is one of the most talented developers out there. Definitely the most talented indie developer out there. And, it's just, if you just gave me more Hades, I'm fine with that. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but, new character, new abilities, new gods, things like that.
Yeah.
Is a recipe for amazingness.
And the story already, it looks like it's going to be amazing. It's
supposed to be Zagreus' sister, I think. I
mean, by the eye color, we assume, and then also, because Greek gods got around a lot, so they had a lot of kids, and
she's Melano, the daughter of Hades and sister of Zagreus.
Yeah, so and just the whole you're dealing with Kronos and time, so they're gonna have a nice little roguelike conceit because he can manipulate time. So the story is going to be great because that was also just the cherry on top was how good
voice acting. It's all
yeah. Delicious.
So good.
All right, I'm going to share another game with pal of the show Nick. He wrote in that Marvel's Wolverine, of course, is on my list. Announced was that 2022?
Too long ago.
Yeah, too long ago. And unfortunately, with the Insomniac leak, we know the wait for this game is going to be quite long. I believe it's labeled as a 2026 game. And that is unfortunate because obviously we love everything Insomniac does, and I'm very excited.
2021 it was shown.
Oh, boy. God. Yeah. Way too early then.
Yeah.
It was shown at the same time Spider-Man 2 was shown. But just, again, their pedigree is well-deserved, and anything they touch is going to be great. And, it was unfortunate we got a little bit of the story in the leaks and other surprises, which we're not going to talk about, but, can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Insomniac Games purchased for 1/10 of the price of Bungie. That was a good one. All right, so my fourth game, we're going to go with Windblown from Motion Twin, the developers of Dead Cells. This game was shown off this past year with a very cutesy kind of trailer where, you had a little bunny getting his head blown off by things.
Yeah, it was cutesy for 2 seconds.
Yeah, for 2 seconds, and then it became very, very violent. But, if you know Dead Cells, tight, fast combat. And this looks to be kind of the evolution of that, more of a isometric viewpoint with bright graphics. But you're going to have your same type of, I think, roguelike-y, Metroidvania-y, whatever type of thing that, that team does. But I'm all about, as we discussed with our pies last week, I'm all about gameplay. And I think this is going to be a game that has gameplay up the ass and probably a lot of weird depth to it. One of the things that's really fun about Dead Cells is how deceptively deep it is. You do your runs, but there's so many different things to unlock, so many different ways to play, so many different weapons choices and things like that you can kind of make each run a little bit unique. And, as long as they don't take
it co-op at all?
I'm sure.
Because the trailer showed like multiple characters, and I'm not seeing it on their page. I figured that would be something they'd say, but and now that I say that, and then it's like one of the gifts they have is 3 characters fighting all at once. So
yeah, so it's co-op, and one thing that's super cool about Motion Twin is it's completely owned by the team. So every dollar that they make, they just divvy it up to every. I think it's like a co-op.
Yeah,
co-op.
Yeah.
Is the technical term for it. So those guys are all rich. Those guys are all loaded. So, if they're making games, they're making them for the love of games, and they have extra incentive to make sure that they're done well because they get paid more. So I don't know. I think this is still just being said a nebulous 2024, but
yeah,
I believe it'll probably get pushed out of the year. But either way, I'll be there for it.
Sure. That's a good choice. All right, my next pick is Star Wars Outlaws. I'm just going to mirror my top 3 of this year, and still that gameplay demo just blew me away. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and it just that demo did everything right. It's unfortunate it's attached to Ubisoft, but we'll see. Ubisoft occasionally will release a good game. They got one this year so far, in the Prince of Persia, so hopefully they do the Star Wars license right, and it's probably going to have the Ubisoft open world fatigue.
It will.
But hopefully the gameplay elements are there to keep it interesting the whole time. So,
yeah, I'm definitely curious about this one. I mean, I thought Frontiers of Pandora, what might have been another like a game that Ubisoft figured out, and because it looked great, and then it reviewed at a 69. So I'm like, well, okay, so the fatigue is definitely real. Right. Can they buck that somehow? It seemed like in a lot of the trailers, they focused a lot on like kind of the non-combat, more decision-making kind of side of things. So maybe that gives it a little bit of a breath of fresh air. And obviously going to different planets, they showed you flying a ship into space. So that'll lend itself well. But is it another just you go to a place, here's a map with a bunch of question marks, go do them? And
how many towers am I climbing?
Yeah. So are we doing that again, or is it going to change it up a bit? But I figured that one was going to be on your list.
Yeah.
All right, and then for my last one, coming from Moon Studios, No Rest for the Wicked, which is a game coming to early access here soon. But makers of the Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Ori and the Blind Forest, those games, which are absolutely great, gorgeous, great controls, fun Metroidvanias. So this is their next game that they're actually bringing to every platform. So it'll be the first Moon Studios game on PlayStation, which is exciting, but it just has everything I like. I like top-down, dodge rolls. It looks like a Souls-like in a way, like in the same way that like Hollow Knight is a Souls-like, or just those games that kind of seem tough, and you probably the boss comes up and you get the big red bar on the bottom, right? Like that type. It seems like it's lending itself to a lot of those. So that's my jam, man. I love that kind of stuff. But something I noticed that was like a little kind of that I thought was kind of cool about it too was it's not quite 2D. It's got that isometric look, but like your character can jump. Like he jumps over like fences and stuff, and so it doesn't seem like it's as restrictive as a lot of those kind of games are. So you nail the combat and all that stuff, and I'm sure it's gonna be great. If you've played the Ori games, you know just how good those feel. So I have no doubts that it's going to be great in that regard. And I believe the Ori games run at 120 frames on Xbox, so like they're a team that knows how to put together a solid performing game too. So I don't think you'll have any issues there. And I'll be playing that one.
Yeah, that's a good choice. It's also a boondoggle with pal of the show, Nick.
Yeah.
So, all right, my last game is a franchise that I hold very dear, but speaking of Phil Spencer, he closed this studio down, and that is Lionhead, and now he's having another studio return to the franchise, and that's Playground Games, makers of Forza Horizon, and that's Fable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really curious where they take this storied RPG with this really goofy British, think Monty Python humor, and see if it can have that same energy and bring that franchise to Xbox and be good.
Yeah.
It's a big ask for a studio known for making arcade racers to make a third person RPG series where choices matter and all that, but I'm curious. The trailer seemed to at least land the humor last time we saw it last June at the Xbox event. But
yeah, I think this is another super important game for Xbox. Over the past 10 years, we've kind of seen a lot of their big franchises show back up and disappoint in different ways, whether it's Gears 5 or Halo Infinite, both good games, but just not quite delivering on what the fan bases wanted from those. And so Fable is one of the biggest remaining examples of an Xbox franchise that is due for its turn. And with Playground Games heading it, like that's a great fucking team. Forza's always get 9s, but how does that translate from driving to a game like that? Guerrilla was able to make the shift from a first-person shooter into Horizon and did that, very, very well. So I believe the team can do it, but, is there... they can't afford for that to come out and just be another one of these like, it is what it is, or maybe they can because that's not the game they're playing anymore. But I think you're just going to get a lot of really upset fans if that's the case. But
yeah, so it is more out of a curiosity. I really don't know what to think, but I do hold Fable 2 in particular as one of my favorite games that I played.
Yeah. I'd love to play those, but I know at this point there's no way to go back to them. Like you could go back, but
it's hard to play older
games.
Attention. They don't hold up as well, the older 3D games.
No, I was, you mentioned that lull that I'm in right now, and I'm in such a lull that I actually turned on my Series X and tried to play Halo, and just because, like, I don't remember a thing about Halo 1 and 2, and I don't think I ever played 3, so I was like, well, maybe I can give these a shot, and, like, even in the first one, I got to this point where, like, find the console to lower the bridge, and I'm like, put a fucking dot on it. Where is it? Where is it? I looked around for like 5 minutes. I was like, fuck this. And I turned it off. So, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So we'll see. That's a good pick. I was trying to throw an Xbox One on there. I was like, Indiana Jones, no. But Fable's a good pick.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope it shows up again in June with maybe a little bit more look at gameplay, but I don't know how far along that game is, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then Nick's last game was Crimson Desert. Do you remember this game?
Yeah, it's the one that does everything. The game that only does everything.
Yeah, that looks like it kind of reminds me a lot of Dragon's Dogma and the absurdity of the things you can do, or Rise of Ronin, or Tears of the Kingdom. Just like it seems like they have every game genre possible mixed in. I highly recommend people watch the trailer for that game because it's something else if it can complete everything it looks like it's trying to offer.
Yeah, it's from Pearl Abyss, who does the Black Desert series, which I've never played. I know they're super popular for those who do. Yeah, that one I'm curious about. I have my doubts, just because it seems like a too good to be true scenario. But I'll definitely have my eye on it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. If again you're listening and you're like, hey, I want to participate in that, write in. We'll
read them off.
Yeah, John will read it at the
will judge
beginning
you.
of next episode.
Yeah, see, as long as you warn me.
So definitely let us know. There's so many good games on the horizon that I know that you probably think of a couple that we're not highlighting here. So yeah. All right. Moving on, we're at our last topic here, and that, of course, is our video game character battle royale. We are moving on to round 3, in which John and I last week both drafted our teams of characters we prefer to represent. And
so this is the Sweet 16 then.
Yeah, This is the Sweet 16. Yep. And so so we don't have any results from last week because nobody fought last week, but this week we got Crash Bandicoot versus Kratos and Solid Snake versus Link. And again, unlike the initial week where we kind of did a minute speech, and then round one we did a minute speech, and then round 2 we treated like Pokemon battles. This time John and I are just going to talk it out. We're just going to have a discussion about the characters, and hopefully we can reach a finale point and say, I'm good. All right.
Then they still vote.
Yes, okay. People will still vote. So, all right. Is there preference in? Which?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm confident in my Kratos versus Crash fight, but I'm pretty confident. So I don't know if you want to get that one just done.
Sure.
Because the other one's gonna be a little bit more of a fight, I think.
Yeah, we can start with that. I mean,
would you care to do your opening arguments, or would you like me to present my opening arguments?
If you want to start, because I feel like I'll be on the defensive on this one. But
yes, you will.
But go ahead. What do you got? Why should Kratos win this fight?
Okay, so when you evaluate a fight between two people, there's a certain amount of characteristics I think that we can evaluate to see how that outcome is going to be, right? Strength, speed, dexterity, intelligence, range,
being a god,
range, stamina, durability, all these things. And every single one of those categories, Kratos comes out on top in. Yes, he is a literal god. He has toppled all of Greek mythology, most of North mythology. He does not lose. He's died a couple times, come back from the underworld. He is 7'8", weighs 240 pounds, a general of the Roman army or Spartan army, arguably the greatest army in the world. He knows how to fight. He knows how to win a battle. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how a marsupial would be the thing that takes him down when you have the list of Zeus, Ares, Hades, Poseidon, Balder, Odin, Heimdall, Kronos, Hercules, Thor, Perseus, Theseus, the Sisters of Fate. He defied his fate. He was able to change that, which just does not happen. So it's one of those fights that I think it's over before it starts. And, I'm not even mentioning, just think of his weapons. He's got the Blades of Chaos. Crash just spins in a circle. So if you would like to go from here on out, I don't know what you'll say, but
I mean, just does Kratos have the notoriety of defeating Greek gods and Norse gods that we're familiar with? But Crash has beaten bosses himself, like Crunch Bandicoot and Ripperoo and Dingo Dial. He's fought a lot of bosses himself and come up on top. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned death. And Kratos I believe he has died twice.
Yeah.
In the franchise, he's died in 3 and 2.
He got Zeus's sword through his fucking belly.
Yeah.
And
did he die in 2?
I know he escaped from Hades twice. So died somewhere else.
Yeah. So and Crash is known for being the hardest games out there right now. It's no joke that Crash for It's About Time, is that the subtitle for that game? Is known as one of the hardest games out there on the planet. So Crash views difficulty and definitely views death as just as common, if not more common, than Kratos.
You're right in that he does view difficulty that way. However, I would argue that when we're talking about the difficulty that we're talking about, in which is a fight, we can point directly to Kratos' fight against the Valkyrie Queen as a combat arena that he comes out on top on, where he faces arguably, she's the combination of all the Valkyrie together. And he still manages to figure that out. It doesn't matter if he can jump on boxes and bombs in a certain order.
Sure.
It matters if he can destroy the person he's facing. In which, and I'll give Crash. Like I expected that he was going to be like 2 foot tall and 80 pounds. He's 5'6" and 213. He's got some good size to him, which is weird. But he's beating turtles and alligators and robots, and Kratos is fighting cyclopses and wraiths and sirens and medusas.
Hey, if you would have put those enemies in front of Crash, he'd find a way too,
I don't know. I mean, because Crash is also known for being kind of scary, where he panicked and cowered against Tiny when he had to fight Tiny the Tiger or whatever that guy's name is. So he's a scaredy cat also. And Kratos is mighty intimidating.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Kratos goes into this battle with he's too confident. He's not going to be. He's going to let his guard down, and maybe that's when Crash's spin attacks.
I was going to say, so his guard's down now, Nick. His guard's down. Crash gets a free shot, all right? Kratos goes, hit me. What does he do?
I don't know.
Shoots him in the belly with an apple bazooka?
It'd have to be very cartoony, because that is another toon physics do apply to Crash. I don't know. He would have to think of something crazy. Maybe, there's Crash's deals with other dimensions and stuff like that. Maybe banishment is his key. Is getting Kratos off the battlefield and sucked into one of his challenge rooms or something. That's
fair, but Kratos can seal realm tears with just the raw strength alone, which we saw in Valhalla. So if Crash opens a portal, he can close it, and he just goes. So.
So
I'll rest my case whenever you're feeling good, just so you know.
Well, just again to wrap things up, just think of the pedigree that Crash has just come to this fight in. He's taken down Master Chief. He's taken down Nathan Drake. What's the third? If you're talking about the faces of the video game industry. What's another third one that he could take down?
So you're now appealing to just please vote. You're doing the please vote for me.
He weirdly enough, he engages our audience, and that is an advantage. Like people like Crash. They respond to the things that he's in. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe people think it's funny he Crash winning over and over.
This would be the ultimate humor.
So.
Somebody's got to take down. I mean, because I think it's fair to say that Kratos is the strongest of all the 16 contestants. So whoever, if he is to get taken down, it will be by unconventional methods.
Sure.
So that's a fair point.
Sure. So, I'm sure those other, Master Chief and Nathan Drake, they thought they were confident, and they did not come out on top. So.
I don't know if I was confident in Nathan Drake.
But here we are. Crash has earned his spot, so don't take him lightly.
He had his time, but he was replaced as the mascot of PlayStation for a reason by Kratos.
Yeah. Well, that, and I really don't know the history of the character, how he ended up with Activision, but
Crash.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure. I bet I could pull it out of my brain if we sat here long enough, but that doesn't make for good content.
Because he was a Naughty Dog character, so it is weird. Maybe we can bring that next week.
The history of Crash Bandicoot. If he wins, we can bring.
Okay.
We can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You want to do Solid Snake and Link?
Yeah.
An actual battle?
Sure.
All right. I'll let you start off this one.
So, Link is an interesting character, right? Because he's never the same Link across games. Very, very, very few games is the same Link. We have A Link to the Past into Majora's Mask. We have Breath of the Wild into Tears of the Kingdom. So, I mean, just starting here, and I know Solid Snake is confusing as well because there's Naked Snake and Venom Snake and clones of himself and all that stuff. But I wanted to start off which Link are we fighting here? Do you have a particular timeline Link that
I formulated most of this around Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild Link.
Okay.
Because I will be using in this fight some of my Zonai abilities, right? So it's got to be that Link.
Okay,
I guess.
that's fine. That's fine. I just want a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, for all I know, that same Link is because I know like part of it is he's wakes up from like a coma or sleep, deep sleep. He's not, as far as you know, he's not in any of the other Zelda games. He's not that same Link.
I just went with Link, so
Okay.
I don't. Let me see here. You keep talking. Also,
So the point I'm trying to get at is, we got two different characters that big focus. They are definitely from different times. Link is fantasy, bow, shield, and sword. Solid Snake is from modern times and Kojima modern. So stealth suits and pistols and rocket launchers and grenades, and there's a lot of similarity actually between these two guys. They're very gadget heavy and weapon heavy. Like that's kind of their kind of thing. And like weapon to weapon, we'd probably go on forever because Link and Breath of in the two games him from, that probably doesn't have as many weapons as if you took all of them. But Solid Snake, who is in Metal Gear Solid 1, 2. Well, not playable in 2, but then Metal Gear Solid 4, and the original Metal Gear games, 1 and 2 on the the TurboGrafx. I believe that's what they originally were on.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't the Super Nintendo. The Famicom?
They were eventually, but they were initially, I think, TurboGrafx games. Are you fact checking me right now?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Snake's advantage going into this is experience. More games. That means you're saying games? 2. You're saying 2, right? That's my opening thing.
Well, but if we're using the logic that Link is only this version of Link, then Snake can only be one version.
Right.
Of Snake.
He's the one from the two TurboGrafx games, Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 4.
Okay.
So he has inherited more experience, more boss fights, because they're another staples of each of these series is the most memorable boss fights.
When you say experience, Link's over 120 years old.
Yeah, but he was asleep for most of that.
Yeah, but he's still experienced.
See, another thing is I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not familiar with that. Like, I've played every Zelda game up to the GameCube Wii crossover one.
Yeah, but you're also talking to somebody who's never really played much Metal Gear, so let's not create caveats here, Nick.
No.
Let's
I'm just saying. I'm getting to the fight. Okay. I'm getting to the fight. This is my opening argument because I do agree that both these characters, while set in different time periods, are very similar. It's a very similar fighting style, which is heavy reliant on items.
Well, they're both the guys, right? The chosen ones that are going to save the world. So yeah, you kind of
and that they're both kind of like masters of playing with their food, is I would say with it, like. Especially the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Link builds weird and crazy machines so he can just fuck around with they're just goblins, right?
Fuck.
Yeah, they have a name.
Hobgoblins.
They're like Octoroks or something like.
Octorics are like the dumb things that shoot at you, but they're moblins and and
or Solid Snake with his soldiers, putting a magazine on the ground so a soldier looks at a picture of a lady. Yeah, they like to play with their food. They're very interesting from that standpoint, and they're gonna have this would be a very wacky matchup, I would think. Like, Link could come up to Snake in a box and they'd play that chest music, right? And then Snake pops out and CQC's Link, or. They're relying on bombs, timers and stuff like that. So we got C4 and you got, all the different bombs that Link has at his disposal. But my starting point here is just, like I said, the experience of surviving more games, more bosses to get to where he's at, as opposed to Link, who, he's got 2 games worth as of right now.
Sure. I think experience is definitely a valid way to look at that. However, I don't think it can trump a lot of the actual combat. Let me explain. So, yes, Snake has lots of weapons, right? He can pull out his guns, he can pull out his smoke grenades, he can pull out tricks and things like that. But we're not in this complex forest jungle fighting. We're in a battle arena. So
We've never stated where exactly they are fighting.
no, but I think it's fair to say that all these fights occur in the same place, and therefore I'm picturing a Final Destination type area, right? So I think Snake would have a chance if he has the ability to use his environment. If he can sneak around, use his suit to blend into things, I think he has a chance. But when it comes down to sheer abilities and fighting prowess, I think Link takes it in a lot of different ways. He's a magic user, which it's not really fair for Snake, but he is a magic user, right? He can use Nehru's Love, which is from Ocarina of Time, to put a shield on himself that protects.
See, now you're talking about another game.
Well, sure, yeah, but I'm sorry, I didn't know I had to pick one specific Link. He's able to stop time, right? He can use his abilities in these games where he can freeze time.
Sure.
And then he could take a megaton hammer and smash Snake's head, right? He could do that.
It's possible.
Snake does have his close quarter combat skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would also argue that Link beats him there because he has a sword. He's always got a sword.
But Link has dealt with Gray Fox, who also used a sword.
Oh, Snake did?
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does. So you're right. That is an example of that. But I don't know how Snake on a just again a 1-to-1 fight beats him if not just using an arsenal of weapons that could be offset with Link's magic. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's again, and this is a comic book thing. Like, how do you beat magic? Right? Magic is just a form
with other magic, which Snake doesn't have.
And the absurdity, just like our last fight of these two characters fighting, and it's just like the limitations that they have because their worlds are so completely different. Kratos is in a world of gods and fought gods, and Crash is just jumping over boxes and turtles and stuff, you know. So, but I let's just talk now. Man, I can't even go there. I'm trying to think where I can go with this. Well, I was talking about just like legacy, and it's just Link's got that. Link is one of the most wildly successful franchises out there, you know, and it's unfortunate. Solid Snake is, Konami can't do right by him anymore.
No,
Metal Gear Solid Delta, not one of our most anticipated games by any means. And
no, that game makes me nervous. But yeah, so I mean,
there's just unknowns like the chafe grenade, right? Which disables like all kinds of electronic devices, and maybe that has an effect on magic. I don't know. Maybe it can disorientate.
Maybe
Link with some flashbangs, and
I mean, he could definitely do that.
What if he finds what if he has a magazine with Princess Zelda and a bikini in it, and he puts that in front of him?
How did I not think of this?
You never know.
Good point.
That's what I'm saying. These combatants are so goofy that.
Well, maybe Link just uses his fuse ability and fuses like Snake to his sword, and then he can't do anything. Yeah, I think my argument what it comes down to is just the gadgets and items and things that they have at their disposal favor Link in regards to the magic side of things, and you can argue that that's unfair, and I understand that because we're now kind of fighting the worlds that we live in. But that also kind of did factor into my choices of these characters. That's Batman is not living in Fantasyland, and that can hurt you. So I think I think it's a fight. I think it's a good fucking fight. But if we were in a warehouse, a forest, a place with lots of corners, where Snake can kind of wait around it and just grab Link and snap his neck, I could see it. But I don't know. I think just in a one-on-one brawl.
It's hard to say. They're both superheroes in their world, so
Yes.
they're pretty much untouchable. So what would happen in the same arena? I don't know. But you should vote for Solid Snake.
But you should vote for mine. All right. I have no further.
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, let me get our lists up here for next week. All right, Nick, you first.
All right. What do I got?
Cal Kestis.
Okay.
I'm just going to do your second one now so that I don't have to then
Sure.
get the list out.
Sure.
And then your second guy will be, always does the same one again, Ellie.
Okay. What do I want for Cal Kestis?
Who do you want to fight?
Yeah.
Probably Richter.
A lot of sword fighters here, so any sword versus lightsaber could work.
It's true. Lightsaber does probably a pretty good number on a metal sword.
Really good.
Pretty good. All right. And then for me, so this will be fighting Cal Kestis, Zagreus.
Shit.
And then second, so this will be versus Ellie, 2B.
Okay. All right. Well, the last two ladies of the league are fighting each other.
Cat fight.
Okay. Not bad. It's good. I like it. I can work with this.
Oh shit, I didn't pick a song, Nick. I'm just remembering.
He's the worst.
Stall.
Show prep. Well, before we get to the song, it can be previews of what we're going to talk about next week, and I want to challenge the listeners. You know, I'm going to continue to attack John's insisting on these gourmet games. You know, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s. Technically, we're going to say an 8 or 9 isn't gourmet, but the cream of the crop. You know, the best games, and I want you to write in like, what game will you die in a hill for that is rated 7 and below that you can bring to the show and convince John to play? And I am going to do the same.
Your own personal gourmets.
Yeah. Or just games that you think, like, despite their review score, is a game that John should check out, and give him a reason to, he doesn't have to put his nose down and smell some of these delicious games that are, reviewed 7 through 1. So I'm challenging you guys, and I'll put that on Twitter, of course. I'm going to try and do more weekend questions to get people more engaged in the topics that we're going to be talking about. So I got that. And yeah, other than that, I'm Rebirth. I'm still playing it. I am in chapter 13. I think it's the last, if not the last chapter. So there's potential, but there's some end game stuff that I might.
Is it gourmet? Is that end game stuff? Is it you're on the stuffed crust now?
Yeah. Well, that game is so filling. There's just some really tough boss battles that are made for, hey, I beat the game and I want more out of it, and I will have to make the decision whether I want to pursue those things. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see where this game goes and where the ending is, because for the most part it is 1-to-1.
It is.
So we'll see where it ends.
That's interesting, yeah, because Colin Moore already so excited for that game because he's just like, oh, the first one's so different. It's so different from the original. It's like I can't wait to see what they're gonna. He's gonna be all butthurt about it. I know he is.
I mean, it's not 1-to-1, but like all the big story beats so far have been the same. There has been no changes, and that pretty much is in line with the first game too. So it really didn't stray until the very end. So we'll see.
Stray.
Yeah, that game is a gourmet game.
Yeah, well, I'll continue playing my non-gourmet Remnant 2. It's not bad. It's just not gourmet.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. Like that's kind of what I keep. I don't know if this is a positive or a negative, but like I keep just about getting to the point where I want to put it down, and I go, "This is stupid. This is hard," and then I persevere and I get through it. I'm like, and it does that dumb Souls thing where you get through a boss fight and you're like, oh, now I can't wait to just chew through this next area, get some things, and then get to another point where I get stuck, and that happened again. But it's still really good. I still enjoy it. And then,
do you have any interest? Kind of last year, I'm just thinking of like the big games. Are you still interested in playing Alan Wake 2?
Yeah, I am. That's I just don't want to pay $48 for it. I think so. Like, it's on my wish list. I know it's on sale right now. I think for $48. I'm looking at more like probably the $30 price point, $25 price point. Sure. It's probably the one game from last year at this point that I have no familiarity with, because I'm almost done with Wonder. I'm on the last world there, and Balatro is popped back up. So.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's I would love for you to play that and kick off the conversation about that game again.
Sure.
So I think it is a game you'll enjoy immensely.
Get through it.
And it is gourmet, but that game isn't that long, so
yeah.
It's just right.
Sure.
It's just right. All right. Did you find a song?
I did.
Okay.
Well, when in doubt, trust in Tony Hawk.
Oh boy.
So I went with from Tony Hawk 3, 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY. You'll probably know it.
Yeah.
If you don't know the title, you'll know it.
Is there any room for an extreme sports game to be as big as Tony Hawk ever was?
As big, no. There's room for one to. I mean, the remakes of 1 and 2. I'm honestly surprised we haven't gotten wind of the next iteration of that. Whether they were to do 3 or 4, try to reboot it or do a new one. I think there will always be an appetite for them, but that was a special moment in video games that just hit perfectly. The quality of the games were great, and
I'm just trying to even think of an athlete that they could even brand it.
No, Tony Hawk was extreme sports athletes. Tony Hawk is by far away number one. You got Shaun White.
Yeah, who was the snowboarder?
Shaun White,
not the snowboarder, the surfer that got a game.
Kelly.
Yeah, that was like.
Why'd you just? Best surfer of all, Kelly Slater.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like I can't even think of an athlete that could just.
No, it's the best skateboarder in the world. I think is still Nigel Houston.
Did that EA skate game ever come out?
The free one. That hasn't dropped yet.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Ryan hasn't. Yeah, we've chopped at the bit more with that.
Yeah, we have a friend that's very interested in that game, but I haven't heard much about it. And EA in general is just quiet.
Yeah, but no, I don't honestly, I don't think sports games can ever really recapture what they used to. They're still huge, right? They still hit every single NPD and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the big
but
ones, yeah.
When I think about my gaming as a childhood, every single person, if you played video games, you played some form of sports games. Like you just did. I'm sure you even did.
Yep, I played Tony Hawk 3 and 4.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. They're great though.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little blast from the past.
Take you back to an era. There were a lot more video games, it seemed, back then.
Back when the world was young and bright faced, and
I think we're just speaking of ourselves.
No. I am so happy.
Nothing will get better than playing as Wolverine and Tony Hawk. This is peak.
I mean, Officer Dick was pretty great, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. That is 5 things. Again, if you can think of a game that's reviewed 1 through 7, please write in at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com.
Can I say I prefer not like 1 through 4?
I doubt there. Games don't really
that.
review there, so unless someone's bringing Lord of the Rings Golem or something, I don't think we'll see many games like that. But let us know. But that's it. We will be back next week with up to 6 things. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.